Hi Mum! You do everything for everyone else. Let me help you make your life easier. Quick, short information to make you empowered and remind you why you are so important. Because if you don't know what's on the menu, how can you choose what's right for you? Hi, I'm Alina, Director of my private practice Supportive Therapy, an everyday Aussie mum trying not to lose my biscuits and my kids. As a mental health professional, I'm here to share my secrets so no other mother feels alone or powerless. Knowledge is power, and I want you to be powerful. Think of it like I'm your mindset coach through all of this. Everything is backed by science and psychology. I believe in you, and I want you to be the best version of yourself. To be happy and feel in control, you need to be mentally strong. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Mentally Strong Mums. This episode is one that's very, very common with a lot of women, and it's about weight and how we feel about ourselves and self-esteem, and especially after children and depending on your age, if you're going through perimenopause or in menopause, whatever that looks like. Sometimes the struggle is real in terms of being able to be happy within your own body after babies, and then understanding how difficult it can be and how that then impacts yourself. Also how this flows onto body dysmorphia and being able to make peace with yourself and what your body looks like. So essentially, we need to be able to figure out little strategies we can have in terms of regaining back some kind of control over your body, understanding if you feel like you need to be healthier, and potentially figure out in terms of mental health as well, to support yourself to get to a weight that you're comfortable with if you aren't currently at a weight that you're comfortable with. And especially this is me talking from personal experience myself as having experienced body dysmorphia, trying to lose weight, myself having a chronic illness, which I have so much fatigue. So with this, even though I'm not a dietitian or a naturopath or a nutritionist, from my perspective as a social worker, from this holistic perspective, I've got all this information and research that's been able to help me as well as other clients know how to be able to kind of get on top of how you're feeling, what your body looks like, and then even little strategies to feel healthier within yourself. And it's essentially if you are able to make healthier choices within yourself without self-sabotage, you can potentially lose weight, not an extreme amount of weight, but just a healthy amount. So then understanding how to be able to break the cycle of guilt, right? That guilt, that self-sabotaging behavior, the guilt that I'm not good enough, the guilt that it doesn't matter what I do, I can't ever be a certain weight. How to prioritize yourself as well, which also falls into the guilt stuff with mums. Because sometimes as a totem pole, we put ourselves last, all right? And how all of this actually impacts your mental strength. And obviously, mentally strong mums, how to be able to build your mental strength as a time poor mum. Let's be realistic. As a mum, generally we are time poor if we're able to tick all the boxes to do all the stuff, right? So we need to be able to have a look at the bigger picture to understand what research has to inform us of these decisions. So realizing the reality of many mothers experience significant weight gain after childbirth, and that might not be immediately, but that might be within the years. And so that's when we talk about then perimenopause. And if you don't know about perimenopause, there's 32 different symptoms, and in menopause it can be a time of a woman's life which is most dangerous in terms of mental health, increased suicide rates, and mental health conditions. So that's also something to be very aware of. There's an episode on that as well. I'm doing a huge presentation to the nation of national social workers about the importance of all of this and how practitioners can support women by understanding that if Aussie women are 50% of the population and people don't know about perimenopause, that's a huge injustice to the women who are going through all of this kind of stuff, right? So when we do experience weight gain, especially after childbirth or having children, this can also lead to feelings of guilt and self-blame, especially if we were younger. #metabolism, it wasn't that hard to be able to stay at a normal weight, or even I could just go Monday to Friday and eat what I normally did and then binge on the weekend and bounce back. But sometimes that doesn't happen anymore, right? So a study published in the Journal of Women's Health has found that 73% of women experience postpartum weight retention, which is often linked to societal pressures to return to pre-pregnancy weight. So it is huge, and especially this pressure is exacerbated sometimes by that unrealistic bounce back. Oh, hasn't she bounced back really good? Do you know? And this can often be portrayed in the media, obviously understanding with social media and what that looks like with mums. I don't know if you know about almond mums. Almond mums are those that are really preoccupied with health and fitness, and so then they project all of that kind of stuff onto their children, and it's called an almond mum because that's all they kind of eat, almonds, or it's under eating or all of that, right? So there's cognitive dissonance theory. So that suggests that when mothers prioritize their children's needs over their own, they often experience inner conflict, which then leads to emotional eating and self-sabotage. So if you don't know what cognitive dissonance is, imagine if you're just listening to this, in my left hand is one argument, in my right hand is another argument. And the most common example I use this is if you're a smoker. So in the left hand, it's this argument saying, oh, I love smoking. It's so good. It's just the best. In the right hand, it's, what do you think you're doing? It is awful. It is so expensive and you are so unhealthy. And then the left hand goes, but it just makes me really healthy and happy, and I feel more calm with it, and I feel like it's the only thing that keeps me grounded. And on the right hand, it's like, well, you can't even walk up a stairs because your lungs can't hold you anymore. What do you think you're doing? And then the left hand is like, well, when I have a smoke, it's my quiet time, right? So you've got these two competing arguments, the left hand and the right hand, and they're both true and correct. But because they're opposites and they don't align, that causes internal conflict, which is therefore cognitive dissonance. They're both, the left and the right are both true and correct, right? So then if you're going to do it to this example, the left hand would be, I need to be able to prioritize the kids' needs. They're very important, they're very demanding, I've got to look after it, right? And so then the right hand is, I need to look after myself. I need to prioritize myself. I feel so unhealthy. I need to be able to get back to, none of my clothes fit. I've literally got a wardrobe of clothes that I'm not prepared to get rid of yet, but I can't fit into anything. Okay? That's a true story. That's me. I literally have a whole wardrobe of clothes that a lot of them I still can't fit, but I'm not prepared to throw them out because in my mind, delusion, I think that I'm one day going to be able to fit back in, right? But my left hand is always, I've got to be the kids' stuff first. I've got to get their meals ready. We've got after school activities. So this cognitive dissonance, and in this hand, it's almost like my left hand always wins because I've got to do the kids' stuff first. I've got to be able to look after them. God, they're arguing again. I've got to be able to be the me. Do you know what I mean? So then by the time it comes to me and what I want to do, it just doesn't happen, right? And so that cognitive dissonance can be really, really uncomfortable. And then it comes into that resentment. So resentment towards children, essentially resentment comes from the envy family. So we're envious or jealous of something. And then in terms of resentment towards kids, I'm envious and jealous that you come first and I don't. And your needs are met and mine aren't. And you get to exercise and I don't. You know, extracurricular activities, they're exercising while mum sit on the side just watching them, right? Sucks. Research from the American Psychological Association also shows that chronic stress, right, mums, balancing parenting, work, self-care, the mental load, the school stuff, all the emails that you get, as well as relationships, friends, chronic stress can increase levels of cortisol. So cortisol is a stress hormone that can also be associated with weight gain, particularly in the abdominal area. And hello, that's exactly what I have, right? So sometimes with all of these different factors that we're talking about, it can create a vicious cycle because time-poor mothers, the guilt that we hold, especially if I ever want to focus on myself, can additionally then lead to stress-inducing weight gain, and then that in turn diminishes self-worth and then mental resilience, and then I give up, and then it's almost like feeling disenfranchised. Well, what's the point anyways? Nothing's ever going to happen, and then you're looking for that, seeking that comfort. And sometimes with comfort and serotonin, we get it from carbs. So when you eat carbs, it really helps with the serotonin to give you that mood stabilizer or that illusion of comfort, right? So then this cycle turns into this snowball effect of me actually gaining weight because of feeling that cognitive dissonance, the self-sabotaging behavior, the resentment from the kids, as well as the cortisol, right? Doesn't this make a realistic, normalizing explanation as to if this is what you're experiencing and you have gained weight and you can't get rid of it? I hope this makes you feel better about yourself, that you're not alone, and this is very common, okay? So some studies have also suggested that mindful eating is a practice of tuning into hunger cues and then the sensory experience of food. So actually being mindful about what you're eating can actually promote weight loss without the need for exercise. So that can also be a solution, because if I'm seeking food as comfort, I'm doing that out of a stress response as opposed to doing mindful eating, okay? As well as if you're able to be proactive, so you get all your kids' meals ready and organized, maybe do that for you. Have all the good stuff that you want. Make hummus, get all your carrot sticks, get some really good yogurts, get some, people do chia puddings. I just learned what that is. Maybe do some chia puddings, right? Get your mini quiches or your frittatas, anything that kind of makes you like that when you're hungry, you can open the fridge and you can grab something that's already done, okay? Obviously, that's going to add to the preparing everything, but it's going to save you in the long run. So I'll also have to send through a meal prep kind of stuff as well, right? So there's also a study from the Journal of Obesity that if you can mindfully eat and follow these practices, it can then help participants lose more weight than those that are focused on dieting alone. So instead of having a diet and then not sticking to the diet because of what we talked about, you then go into this behavior where I can't do anything right. Well, what's the point? The diet failed, But if you can actually change these little things about yourself and understanding what you're actually looking for, what your body kind of needs. So even if I don't have time to exercise, finding little time or little windows or little tricks that you can prioritize your own self-care. So especially remember the cognitive dissonance. In the left, the kids always come first and I always come last. On the right-hand side, well, the amount of meal prep that I'm doing for the kids, I'm going to almost equal that with my own meal prep. So that when I open the fridge, I've got options that I actually like. It doesn't have to be rabbit food. It can just be nice, healthy kind of stuff. Or even getting smoothies pre-packaged. So in little containers every day. So when you get home from work and you're starving Marvin, which is what I get, you just grab your container full of stuff, put it in the blender, and it's a smoothie. Put some psyllium. I don't know if you know about psyllium. Psyllium's fiber. Psyllium gives you the best poos in the world. Put in some psyllium. It'll help with your digestion, help you getting fuller quicker, and then especially with feeling good about yourself. And we all know about the stomach, the gut, mental health connection, to be able to kind of do all of that if you're going to be proactive, right? So then if you can have eating habits over workouts, because I can't have workouts or I don't have time or I'm fatigued or I'm exhausted, right? Especially if you're a single mum trying to juggle it all, right? Eating with awareness. Focus on your food during meals. So no screens, no multitasking, right? Problem especially that I have myself is when I grew up, we had to be able to eat really, really fast because of whatever reason, right? So then I've essentially conditioned myself to be able, when I eat food, I eat it really, really quick and I literally inhale it, okay? So that was a conditioned response as a child, that there was scarcity, so I needed to eat really quickly whatever's on my plate. But now I don't have scarcity, but I still have that conditioned response of eating really, really quick, which then helps you, not helps, but it can trick the brain into not realizing that you're full, so then you overeat. So if you can eat, sometimes people trick yourselves with a spoon, with a baby spoon instead of a big spoon. So it can, your body and your mind can actually register when you are full. And if you are eating because you need comfort, because you're depressed, because you're overwhelmed, because you're overstimulated, and that's the only thing that can kind of feel in that moment that can help, how can you actually start to learn and understand about your emotional needs and what you need in the moment to kind of feel safe, so that you don't then just go to the fridge for your comfort? You're actually able to get it from somewhere that's beneficial, that makes you actually feel loved, instead of just eating potato chips or whatever that looks like. No judgment, love potato chips, whatever that is, right? So how can you also prioritize your own time without guilt? So if we can have 10-minute self-care blocks during the day, maybe just 1 or 2, if that's all that I can kind of manage, especially if you have newborns that are not a potato baby. Potato babies are these babies that just lay there perfectly, they feed great, they sleep, and they don't do anything. I did not have potato babies. I had these babies that were just non-stop, wouldn't stop crying, couldn't feed, always restless, right? Sleep deprivation. So if that's you as well, sometimes when I say 10 minutes, you're like, I can't even have a shower on my own. It just doesn't work that way. So then maybe how can you just go for a quick walk? Whether that's just to go outside in your backyard and stand outside in the grass, or courtyard if you're in a unit, but actually just stand there and get some fresh air and then let the sun touch your skin. Okay, that's 5 minutes. That's all I need to be able to do that a couple of times a day. When you do that, potentially even just shake your body and letting go of the frustration or everything that you're holding, right? The Journal of Health Psychology found that even small moments of self-care can significantly reduce cortisol levels, and then that combats stress-regulated weight gain, right? Mums, you can't build Rome in a day. You've got to be able to set small, realistic goals. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for failure. And that's what I was saying before. If you do a diet, sometimes it's too much, it's too complicated, it's too overwhelming, and it doesn't align with life as a mother. So instead of having a diet, maybe meal plan, right? Because you can still eat what you want to eat, but you're just planning it so when you open the fridge, it's there for you. So if you can set really small, little realistic goals, so swapping one snack for a fruit, right? So even if you try and find somewhere, if you've got markets or something, or a fruit that you really like, swap that out. Even bribe yourself. Alina, if you have an apple, then you can have this after. Do you know what I mean? There's a Mars bar in there. The same thing as what you say to your kids. There is a Mars bar in there. It's one of those mini little Mars bars. I really want it. But you can't have it until you eat your apple or until you eat your banana. All right, let me eat my piece of fruit and then, you know what I mean? So that can kind of help as well. So if you do have a little bit of that dopamine addiction cycle with emotional eating and the comfort and all of that kind of stuff, and it drives you crazy because you feel like a slave and you are not mentally strong enough to break it because the food always wins, right? Maybe keep a food journal, whether this be literal on a piece of paper, right? Or a little diet diary app, just out of curiosity to see what's going on, what you're eating, what you're not eating. And that can also help you be mindful. It's also interesting that if you did track your food, I wonder if you look with curiosity, if the food that you eat more at certain times correspond with different events or different hormonal changes. So then in that, you're learning yourself differently in terms of what my body needs. Does that align with my cycles? If you don't know your cycles, that's ovulation, follicular, luteal, and menstruation. And all through these different cycles, women, if you don't know, your body needs different things, your moods have different things, your productivity is different through them. And especially just before menstruation, your body needs carbs because it's preparing for menstruation, right? But sometimes if I don't know my body well enough and I just think I'm about to have my period and if I just think that I'm craving carbs, but I'm on a diet and I can't have carbs, maybe your body actually needs that because of the cycle, what you're going into. So then if you can understand your body better in that way as well, then you can forgive yourself if you need carbs because your menstruation or your cycle your period's coming, right? But during your luteal phase or your other phase, then follicular phase, I don't need carbs. So I'm happy, right? Also, when it comes to fasting, being really careful about knowing fasting and your cycle because of how it impacts your hormones and what your body actually needs. And sometimes if you fast during different times of your cycle, it can be detrimental and harmful, okay? Obviously, I'm not a medical professional, but I'm telling you right now, I've been researching the wazoo out of all of this, okay? And especially this is a holistic perspective because I need to know how all of this impacts mental health and mental strength, how this impacts your resilience, how you feel about yourself, as well as then remember last week's episode on generational legacy. What generational legacy are you leaving your kids? So if you're not coping very well and your coping mechanism is my fridge is my best friend, I wonder if that's going to be part of your generational legacy. So you deserve happiness and peace, right? If it's not a big problem and you're happy, then it's fine. There's no judgment. You do you. Do you know? Also, one of the most important self-compassion practices. So instead of criticizing yourself or talking smack about yourself when you indulge or you want the carbs or the ice cream, right? I'm doing my best and that's enough. I'm going to try again tomorrow, okay? I feel like for me lately, I've been telling myself that for the past week and a half. Try again tomorrow. But it's, for me, start of year with kids at school, all the new routines, when everything starts to settle down, then I'm going to be able to get back into my own stuff. But at the moment, I'm just doing my best and that's enough, all right? It's a lot on my plate and a lot on your plate too, and, so there's this thing called NEAT, N-E-A-T, which stands for Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis, NEAT. It increases small daily movements. So when you're on the phone, pace and walk around, right? When you park for work or at the kids' school, park further from where the gate is. Or if you go to the shops, park further away from the front door, right? If you're doing a little task around the house, so before you go to the toilet, do 3 squats before you sit down on the toilet. Or when you walk, every time you walk down the hallway, start doing squats. I started doing that little experiment and I just avoided my hallway. I was like, I'm done with this. This sucks. But NEAT is these non-exercise activity thermogenesis because essentially humans are made to move. And if you don't have time during the day and you don't move, it impacts your mental health because you're not getting that blood flow, especially to your brain. It doesn't have to be hardcore workouts, right? But the American Journal of Physiology can suggest that doing these little tweaks, this NEAT, can actually burn up to 500 extra calories per day, without doing formal workouts, So at least that can reduce your guilt as well. Every time you go to the toilet, do 3 squats, okay? Every time you do the dishwasher, do a push-up against the counter. You know what I mean? Yeah. They also had these jokes that every time your kids say mum, you would take a shot. But maybe don't do that. I think that's for another episode, right? You can also incorporate movement with kids. So physical play with your kids, dancing, walking, playing outside, right? Because these short bursts of playful movement can contribute to weight loss as well as stress reduction. And especially mums, when we're so task-orientated, task-focused, mental load, drowning, decision fatigue. I'm so focused in this tunnel that I don't ever hang out with my kids in some kind of play or anything. So even though you want to do this for yourself and weight loss or exercise, you got to do it for your well-being, to actually connect with your kids, to prove that mums are funnier than dads, okay? Mums are fun than dads, okay? So instead of being focused on weight loss, don't do it for weight loss. You've got to do it as mental health goals, moving every day. Because I'm pretty sure if there was an app to track the days that you didn't exercise and move, it impacted negatively on your mental health. But the days that you did move and you did see the sun, it impacts positively on your mental health and well-being as well as resilience. So it's huge, right? Mums, you also need to celebrate the small wins, okay? Every single time, because we criticize ourselves so much, we're so hard on ourselves that sometimes that dominates more than all the things we're doing right. So each time that you choose a healthy option, or you do NEAT, or you play with your kids, or you mindfully, instead of inhaling your food like I do, you actually eat it like a normal human, okay? My mum's genuinely scared that one day I'm going to inhale food, it's going to get stuck in my esophagus or on my chest somewhere, and then it's going to add in some really negative stuff. And I was like, Mum, just give me a minute, all right? All of that kind of stuff. So you celebrate the small wins within yourself to be able to be proud of yourself and have that compassion, okay? It's all about breaking the spiral of guilt, as well as understanding why you emotionally eat, which you can understand yourself better. Understanding, because you are a woman, how do your hormones, and during these 4 phases, how do they impact you in terms of emotional eating, in terms of productivity, in terms of connectedness, and in terms of self-worth, okay? These are small, little, sustainable changes that we can do. You don't have to go extreme, especially if you're a neurodiverse mum. Don't do all or nothing, okay? That's me. Don't go all or nothing. There's a thing called Goldilocks principle. Not too hard, not too soft, just right. Find the just right spot, okay? Need to prioritize mental health over weight loss. I know that whole cupboard of stuff, I'm never going to fit in it, but maybe if over the chance of 6 months I try and do all of this for myself and I feel good, maybe I might be able to feel good within my own body, okay? So, look after yourself. I hope that was beneficial. I hope that wasn't anyone felt judged in any way, shape or form. It's not for judgment. It's to normalise that, especially as women after having children, it can be really difficult to love ourselves if we haven't bounced back to what we were, especially early 20s. And then realising, is that realistic? Is my body actually capable of that? And if it is, and that's what I really want, then you've got to be able to figure out how to balance everything in your life. So joining a women's gym to understand weights, understand the push and pull theory of weights, to be able to gain really good muscle mass, especially then helps with bones. I'm not getting into it, but you know what I'm trying to say. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great day. Bye. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, I want to thank you for your support. It takes me hours to research and create this for you, so I genuinely hope you enjoyed it and felt more mentally strong. If you have any suggestions or improvements, let me know, because I'm always open for criticisms. If you have found my information useful, please leave a review and subscribe. So by leaving a review, it's a value exchange. It's good karma. I value your support just as much as you value my free information. So find me on Instagram and Facebook by searching Mentally Strong Mums, and I'm Aussie, so we're spelled MUM. And then you can find heaps of resources on www.mentallystrongmums.com. And this podcast is for you, so let me know what topics you would like to see covered in future episodes. And if yourself is a professional that is working with mums and would like to be a guest to help other mums be mentally strong, I would love to support you. So message me on Instagram on Mentally Strong Mums, MUMS, all one word. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day, you beautiful mum.